Good after Easternoon. See if this is working. Yes, it is. Happy and blessed Easter to everyone. I've been AWOL a couple of days. I did do a video on Friday, but I didn't post it. I'll redo it. It wasn't very good. It was just a tour of this greenhouse that I like and I went to. It was my birthday on Friday, 74, and a couple of friends had sent some money. $20 bill and a $50 bill. So I went there to blow it on plants and some flowers. I got a couple of, and of course I overdid, so I'm going to sort through. I got some little tiny conifers, little miniatures, and I'm going to figure out which ones I really, really want and have spots for, and then I'll take the others back. I'm even going to dig up a couple of things I've got and put them out for sale or see if my daughter's interested for her place. But because I have found a couple of things, a Phillips Golden Tears that is a must-have. So friends' money will probably swallow that up all at once. But I I don't need anything, but I have a couple of trellises, and one is an arbor one. So I got a clematis to climb over that, and then another clematis to go up the arbor. And there's a plant on it. It's looking healthier than what I thought. So that clematis might go back. But I also found a golden Goldilocks, because last year I got one, but it died. So I have a spot for that. I'm going to switch out another one that is a golden cypress, because I'll put that where I have just a regular one, bluish one, because I want more contrast. I like to bring other color of conifers in, and last year they just didn't have these. So I'll work it out so that I get reimbursed from, I'll sell them. And since they're larger now, I might even get more than what I paid for them. So that's how it can work with trees. Because the larger the size, the better they are. But whatever. It's a beautiful Easter. And Friday, that's what I went there. I was planning to do a video, of course, and had things on Good Friday to talk about. And I've had every day, God has provided a theme of visitors for each day, or of a substance that I was to contemplate. And that's been wonderful. But Friday ended up a big surprise. While I was exulting in the beauty of all the nature at this greenhouse, I'd had a dream about it. It was a miraculous dream. Before I even lived here. It was after I had left the island and left all my trees, and I thought I would never, ever find any trees like that again. But I had to detach, had to just let go, had to sell it, and I didn't have a place to bring them to this time. So I either sold them or left the bulk of them there for the new buyer who loved them. I hope he's able to take care of them all. I spent extra couple of hours with him privately, showing him how to water, how to fertilize, how to prune, and how to take care of them. He wanted that, and I was more than happy to show him, because I didn't want those trees to not make it, So, and he said he would even have his friends come help him, because it was a lot to take care of for one person if you're not really into it, so, which I am. Much more than here. I still had probably 250 there from the 300 or more that I brought out. I don't know. I bet I sold 100 trees. A lot of small ones, but beautiful ones. They really cleaned me out. People who wanted to buy the trees, they like the red Japanese maples, but I had some rare little miniatures. red ones, and they just swooped up those. So the point I had to stop and say I can't sell any more red ones because I needed balance in that property too. I didn't want it just be all the red gone. So anyway, it worked out, but I needed money, so I would sell them, sell the trees now and then. Anyway, life is interesting. So I did that, and then I got a text from my daughter, and she surprised me. She had set up a massage for me. Oh my goodness. Did that ever feel good on my upper left back, especially, and my neck? And so my daughter lined that up for me, a man that she goes to work on her muscles, and paid for it, and had that early evening. And then my grandson and daughter took me to a yogurt place for a sandwich and a little yogurt and to visit with them, have a little supper. So it was really a lovely day. My cousin called, but there was no time left, and just going, like going to and walking around the nursery, which of course, is just delightful. But then the sitting for evening and the massage, while it felt really, really good, it worked up a lot of my pain areas, got it sort of jangled, which you need, got the blood going through and all. So Saturday then found out that the daughter had a tournament here, and she said I could come. So I did. I mean, if I get an offer, but see, I'm not used to going places. And it would have been plenty just going to the nursery and looking at trees for a couple hours and flowers and things, let alone to then drive through traffic to get a massage, which was, oh my goodness, that really helped my sore shoulder. Sorry, Mercy wants a massage. She was going like this at me. Pet me, keep petting me. Don't use your hand to talk. Pet me, use your hand to pet me. Mercy. Yeah. So, but then sitting for supper, my grandson joined us. I hadn't seen him in a long time, so that was fun to catch up. And then, though, this next morning, the dogs and we got loaded up in the truck and went to this pickleball facility where they were having this men's tournament. But my daughter played in the men's tournament because she's a very good player. And believe it or not, this one was for cash prizes. She needs the income. And she would have won had it not been for her male partner. He didn't, toward the end when they would have real close matches or games, there's 3 games in a match, or 2 if you win both in a row, but her male partner isn't used to the tournaments as much, so he would grip toward the end if they, so anyway, they lost just barely, like maybe it'd be 2 points off, but so I don't know. I don't think she made any prize money, but she got excellent practice in getting ready for the U.S. Open next week, playing in this men's tournament. And I was just in awe of how she could hit those hard balls back that these men would hit at her. So she's been working out, practicing, and keeping going. And then the standing on the concrete there and the noise and all, I'm not used to that. I was already tired from the day before with pain and my friend Pain and Suffering. So I was sitting in a chair at one point, a hard-seated chair, because I got so tired standing, and then they had metal bleachers, but if I get invited something like that with a family member, I have my priorities of what I will do. And since I rarely see people, but with that I felt, well, yes, I need to go be supportive and watch, and I wanted to, of course. But I was sitting in that chair, And increasingly, I've done this thing where my mind just zones out. It just leaves my body. It's not an ecstasy, not at all. It's more of a trance, a trance that my mind leaves the body. The pain gets to a certain level that my mind cannot take it, and I'm gone, just gone. So that, and I don't know it's happening until after I come to, but I could hear my daughter's voice and her friend's voice. And my daughter was saying, "Is she dead? Is she?" And sort of this funny little laugh, little like, "Oh," and but laughing, "Is she dead?" And but serious too. And I opened my eyes. My mouth was probably hanging open. I don't know. I don't know if my eyes were open or closed, but I don't know. I should probably ask. But I had my glasses on. I think they were open. I don't know. I don't know if my mouth was open. I'm just wondering because they thought I had died just sitting there. And I said, "No, I'm not." We started to laugh. And I started to explain, that this has been happening. I didn't want to say too much, though. I don't want the family on me, curtailing me. But it happens during the night. Oh, I'd say even up to 12 times off and on, 8 to 12 times, easily. And I have to use some mundane program to help me get to sleep because the pain's just so bad. Even with the pain meds, and I don't want to increase them. I may have to, though, with this happening. And today I did have to take 2 meds for breakthrough pain. First thing in the morning, because I was still just the effort of standing and sitting. I would do up and down, and then also I leaned and put a leg back one after another, stretching. And I would lean on bleachers. I would hook one leg over a taller bleacher and stand on one leg at a time and sit in that chair and lean forward. I sat on a high stool. I kept switching because that helps, just keep switching my positions. And just the noise, see, I'm not used to noise. I'm not used to conversing. I got trapped with what I call a tricky woman. She was an older woman. She knew my daughter, and she started talking with me and trapped me a couple of times because I was already tired. And I didn't realize she was treacherous, a treacherous woman. And then she called over to my daughter and asked her something and said, "Well, your daughter just said," really mean, tricky, but did it very just deceptively. Really a despicable person. And it's sad. Her name is a name that's used now for that type of woman. Karen. I feel sorry for people named Karen because it's got to have this reputation of being a mean or a tricky type woman. I think this lady here probably is the one that someone started that bad thing. It's not good to take someone's name and give it a stigma, but that's what's happened. But this woman is that type, a stigma that they ascribe to that name. And so I don't know, I might be in trouble with my daughter, but if I hadn't been in so much pain, I would have picked up on it, what she was doing. She was pumping me and then turned it in an ugly way. Obviously, she's very resentful or envious of my daughter, but didn't let on. See, very tricky woman, old woman, tricky old woman with long bleached blonde hair. She's 71 or 72, she said, and whatever, So that was something that I realized I'm just not adept out with people, especially if the pain's high. I can't. My sensors are muddled by the pain. my vibes get disrupted when the pain's at that point that I totally zoned out and looked dead. Obviously looked dead because I could hear the alarm in my daughter's voice, but this nervous laugh with it. And her man friend too. What? Well, maybe what? Oh. So I did text her today and said it's too bad I didn't die there because that would have been the talk of the facility. I would have outshone the man who put his head through the wall. My dying there would have been a bigger hilarious thing to happen. And it wasn't hilarious that the man put his head through the wall, but it's one of these startling things that you just don't expect to happen. He was running, and he was an older man, as it turned out, and he couldn't stop. He was running to hit a ball and lost his balance and just fell right, put head into the wall. And I fixed it for them, but I mentioned it. He missed a big steel girder by 3/4 of an inch. The hole was just on the edge of the hole, was 3/4 of an inch away from so the middle of his head would have hit maybe five. It was 5, center 5. His cheekbone was probably right on the edge of that hole, just that close. He would have been dead had he run through that, hit his head on that. As it was, just hitting the very thick sheetrock and breaking through that with his head, he broke his nose and had a concussion. Had to be taken away by EMS. So, yeah, to have me dead right there sitting in a chair, that would have been a good one. What a way to go. Oh, my. Anyway, I was lucky, just even driving home, I had to be very alert, very intentional of focus, because it can happen anytime that this zoning out, my mind just evidently cannot take the level of body pain. So I'm on R&R today big time. I tried mixing up some Lebkuchen dough, but I'm making a variety, and I have to do that in stages even. See, standing at a counter kills me. That's why I never have a full meal until, well, I'll have to tell you about this, but I get all my ingredients set out either the night before, but I did it earlier this morning. Then I rest. Then I go back, or I had to take the dogs out and walked around. Walking around's okay, just stand on the grass that's cushioned. But standing at a counter, standing in one place, and I'm not on concrete here. So concrete is extra bad if I'm standing on concrete or walking on concrete, like shopping at Home Depot, going to get supplies. Thanks be to God, I rarely have to get anything now. I have most all the supplies I'm going to need to finish this. But so then I mixed the stuff after I had the ingredients. I did that maybe around noon. And instead of citron, which goes into Lebkuchen, it's a German cookie. It's my mother's, my probably great-great-great-great-grandmother's recipe from maybe the 1600s or something. But it's a good one. But it has a lot of honey in it, some egg, and I use almond flour to make it healthier, some butter, and then I chopped up dried cherries, dark cherries, and dried figs, because the figs will help my intestines. So rather than citron, but the typical Lebkuchen has chopped citron in it, and then pecans in it, lots of pecans. So, and then you refrigerate it, and I can just leave it in the refrigerator. I'm not even going to try to bake them today or tonight. I cannot stand any longer. By the time I was done just mixing the ingredients, which are very simple ones, doesn't take long, but my back was so bad, I just had to flop on the bed and was out of it. out of it. I didn't zone out, but oh, now I think that's the woman. Yeah. Oh, I wish I could take her picture. She's got darker hair. Oh, it must be connected with the man across the street. But it's not his wife unless she's lost a lot of weight. No, it's not his wife. It must be his sister or something. I don't know. Yes, it must be. Whoops. Sorry about that. My picture went up. Um, a little bit ago, I had just gotten flat out, and the doorbell. So of course the dog's here, and we get there, and this lovely woman. She knew me. She knew I had a bad back. She called me by my first name. And I've seen her before, I think, but I just didn't know. And because I'm so with the pain, I'm extra out of it when the pain's high. And she had 2 plates. She had 4 of her grandchildren with her. They're just walking out there, and they're with the neighbor across the street and his wife. But it isn't his wife. It's somebody else. Well, my other neighbor, the one that's talking to me again, wonderfully, we've made up. So I texted her. She's not here right now, but she was trying to help me figure out because I want to be able to thank them. She had 2 plates. Oh my goodness. I never have an array like that. It was, I'm sure, honey baked ham. I haven't had that in decades. And then a salad, a fruit salad with it's a gourmet fruit salad with this dressing that has a special kind of cheese. I can't think right now. I knew the name when I was eating it. Little white feta cheese in it, big walnuts, strawberries, and mixed spring greens. Delectable. Prosciutto wrapped around some kind of special thin sliced cheese. 2 rolls of that. A little white roll, Parker House roll. Some wonderful, diced potatoes with a sauce. Fresh green beans. Some carrots. And she says she'll bring dessert later. So I have enough for 2 meals. I can't eat that much. And my system couldn't even, I couldn't even eat all that variety that much. So I have another's, I put half of it for the fridge. I shared a little bit of the ham with the puppies, and they each got a little bit of the cheese from one prosciutto that I ate. But, and I ate that salad though, because that was, and 4 of her grandchildren came. I remember the 3 names except the eldest girls. The doctors have said the memory has to be connected with pain, they say, because I've been tested for dementia and stuff, but it's this arachnoiditis, it's neurological. But I get my pump refilled next week. I think it's on Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday, along in there. I'd better mention, we better maybe increase the pump a little. I don't know. I hate to. Or I have to keep taking more of the breakthrough pain med. So, because this isn't good. Being out, and just zoning out. And I did it once at a stoplight, one time at a stoplight last winter. And thankfully I came out of it. The other cars had just driven around me. And but I was, maybe, would it be a football field length was the last car that was up ahead of me, that all empty, because they'd just gone around me. And I thought, but just the pain. But that was when I was fixing that head hole. and making those trips back and forth, so I was pushing it. And I was still sick, but I hadn't gotten the next round of being super sick again. So I probably overdid it. But anyway, that's my Easter so far, and celebrating, of course, the reality that we have eternal life. We have salvation. So I had a phone call from a longtime friend. It's the friend who was there with me when I had the surgery back in 1987, when I died in recovery in the middle of the night. And they tried calling her from the hospital, but she lived in another town, and the switchboard was down until 6 in the morning to do just normal calls out long distance. Then we didn't have cell phones then, so they couldn't make. I don't know how it was, but for some reason they could not call her in the middle of the night to tell her I was in trouble. But she woke up. Later, she told me she woke up at 3 in the morning and knew something was wrong and knew she needed to pray. And then at 6 in the morning, they called her, and she and her husband immediately came. They got there by 6:30 or 7. And then I think I was out of surgery by 7:30 or so. And then they were with me when they took me into the trauma room and I think they stayed all day that day, just because they knew that I had died and had quite a time of it. But I was taken out of trauma after a while and put in a regular, I think, no, they put my room right by the nurse's station. He felt that was as well as ICU, and it was miraculous. I'd had severe cardiac arrests, and because the rods were bent too much. That was the problem. He fixed that, taking me back in. But I had already been sent back by God. I knew I was going to live, but I couldn't talk. The pain was so bad when I got back in my body. So, and I would have probably, had more cardiac arrest. They immediately rushed me back into surgery. So I had, 8.5 and 7.5. That's 16 hours of surgery within, I think, probably 16 and a half hours. Or no, I was dead 30 to 40 minutes off. I would die and then come back, and then I finally died and stayed dead. I didn't come back for a long time. And that was when they'd gotten the surgeon back, and he says, I'm taking you back into surgery. Don't know what's wrong, but we got to find out, Don't know if you're going to make it. I'm going to do my best to save you, he said. And I couldn't talk to tell him that God had sent me back to rear my children and fulfill my mission. But so Easter always, I guess, has a special significance. It's, I understand death. I understand resurrection. I'm very ready. This friend who called yesterday, the one that I've known all those years, and she's maybe 12 years older than me, or 13 even, at least 11. But she's having memory issues, but more age-related. But they're very much the same as what I'm having. We compared notes. Very difficult to read. She can't read. She says, I read 10 pages and I don't remember anything I've read. And I said, I find that with one page. I have to use my phone to take a photo and then look at that to talk about it, because my pain is such a distraction all the time. My mind is always being fragmented by pain. So I told her, I said, we can feel very blessed because we truly are in the present moment, the order of the present moment. The past doesn't mean to us, the future, no. the present moment. Because I said, I remember in the present when I'm reading, and I love what I'm reading in the present. So I decided, what difference does it make if I remember the details? I can remember that it was beautiful what I read. Like Dr. Wu's recapitulation chapter. I can remember, in general what it was about, but I mostly remember how beautifully he expressed it. How beautifully he expressed love. How we're growing in love. And that the unitive phase is all about love. So that's what I'm trying to live now in my life, is to live love. And that tricky, mean lady yesterday who got me in trouble with my daughter, was sure trying, and at the same time, trying to embarrass my daughter in front of people. Had I not been so worn out, and also striving to be more loving and understanding and tolerant, I would have said something to that woman that would have flattened her out a little bit. Because I tell you, I've done it before and I can do it. I can say things that will drill right in and make the point calmly, evenly. But I thought today it was as well that I didn't. It was as well that I was so taken aback. And also put out with myself that I didn't see that in her. I didn't see it coming. I wasn't aware enough with all my pain that she was pumping me and setting me up. I fell right into her snare. So, but it was as well because people like that are sick people. And you're not going to make any change in them, especially not at her age, by stepping on her, pointing out what she'd done. She knew, but she isn't going to be a different person. And then I remembered this was a woman that my daughter had called me about. I was on the island and the daughter had already moved here and was just starting to play this sport, just locally. And this woman kept trying to control her. They were partners for a while. And my daughter kept wanting to get away from her, said that she was very controlling and causing her trouble with other people. Like setting things up so that, to make it seem so the daughter couldn't play with others. Very, very possessive and nasty. But my daughter obviously needed to move on. She was half the woman's age. And was, we didn't realize, very talented in this. And it's an ideal career for her. Even if she's been persecuted and whatever, she keeps going. And she's found her niche with people and activity and travel and all. So it's good. It's good when people find a place that they need to be in. She teaches a lot of people how to play. It brings a lot of enjoyment to others. I could tell she was very, very well liked, respected, and I'm happy for her. So, love is very, very important. And I mentioned to this older friend of mine who called yesterday to have I call her on her birthday, she calls me on mine, catch up a little bit. And I told her just also how in the last few weeks I came to the point where I realized that everything is effort. And there's absolutely no outer enjoyment. It's all effort to keep going, to keep pushing, just to get up, just to do. But I said, but there's inner enjoyment because I can find God in everything, like the Lebkuchen, even the ordeal of mixing the ingredients together. Think what really, if I ever do it, I'll have to separate out like the next day or hours later, or lay here and chop up the figs and the dried cherries. That was too much standing to chop up those little things. And the nuts. Do all that laying down or wait several hours after I've rested. And do it in 4 parts then instead of 3. So we have to always adapt and adjust. But I thought that my friend would appreciate that. And she did. She says, yes, I understand that she says, I feel that way, that it's everything just takes so much effort now. And she brought up about her reading, and she loves reading. She's always loved reading. So she's pretty much given that up. But I hope she'll reconsider, because that's how I've had to deal with it, is just enjoy at the moment what I'm reading, and then look back upon it and remember that I enjoyed it. Or take notes. I could take notes. I even had to write down this scripture that I'm going to consider my life scripture now. For you have died, and your life is hidden with Christ in God. That's Colossians 3, 3. I can remember that. For you have died, and your life is hidden with Christ in God. And I think that is how it is in the unitive phase of life. Maybe not the full union, but I think a lot of us can come to this point in our lives. And age helps us to it. Or calamities, bodily calamities, major life changes where we really aren't fit for the world anymore. I knew that yesterday. I knew it going, that it would be very rigorous. But I decided love for the family member and her special friend is in the pickleball field, and he ran the whole tournament. He was busy nonstop. It was very involved. Keeping all of the brackets updated and the ground rules, handling any complaints or any issues that would come up. So he that was his whole work and effort. And he even announced, don't hover around this table here because I can't help you. Wait until the brackets are posted up on the board, then go look at those. But I have to focus in order to do everything accurately. So don't hover, don't ask me questions. And so yeah, he had to, people came from all over, flew in to do this tournament. So, they're doing their best with what they're given to do, and brings joy to people. They earn money that way, and it's good for their health, and they have a wonderful time with each other. They meet new people and they socialize, and it's just another facet of life that I never knew much about before. I didn't know much about any sports or careers in them, of all things. And my good friend mentioned that too. She says, who would have ever thought? Because she knows all my children. In fact, they're godparents to my son. He was born where we'd met them 3 years before when we lived there, where they lived. And I ended up moving back after my divorce and lived 5 years there further, so extra close. And it's been, well, that was 1980, so 45 years now we've been friends. Long time. But I hope that she considers the inner enjoyment that we have. And I said, that's what's going to be with us for eternity. She knows all these things. She's a very spiritual person. She did leave church. She left what you would call, I guess, formal religion, left Catholicism. I think she even believes in reincarnation. I don't get into those things with people. We'll find out. Ultimately, she'll find out. I'll find out. Nothing to discuss, I don't think, or to debate. I don't believe in reincarnation. I don't want reincarnation. I don't want to have to come back. But she knows. She says, I don't know how you have handled this for nearly 41 years. All this suffering. Well, I told her about how they thought I had died sitting there. And we laughed, but I said, I said, this pain is getting to be really rugged, and it's affecting a lot of neurological aspects of me. But I said, on the other hand, she says, I don't see how you keep going. I said, well, this time after that illness, I really wanted to give up, just be bedridden and let the arachnoiditis take over. Except for the fact I said, I can't afford it. I would need care. And, somebody helping me. At least, bringing food and water or things. But so I said, I have to keep pushing. I have to keep pushing my body. And I don't want to, but I've got to. And it's work. It's constant effort to maintain even the attitude. And I think a lot of you maybe can really relate. Or if you don't now, you will at some point. Because she doesn't have any ailments other than aches and pains of being older. What would she be? Maybe 86, 87, 85 to 87 range. And her memory loss is hard, but she handles things well. She has faith in God. She just has these other beliefs now too. I think probably a little more new agey, a little bit. Not bad, not too much. But anyway, it was a good conversation on joy, the inner joy that we have. And what lovely people we meet in our lives. This friend is very loving and lovely person, her husband also. And she's done beautiful things for other people all through her life. This woman has a beautiful, beautiful soul, she is. Beautiful soul. And so we keep loving. Let's keep loving. And she did at one point in our conversation said, I'm sorry that you're still here. And we laughed because I know what she means and she knows what that being gone would be good, would be fine, it would be fine. But it is true, a lot of people have ailments that go on and on and on. And it's rough at times to keep doing what we need to do to keep going based on what we can afford as far as our own health. And then we think of people who have things so much worse. That's what I mentioned to her. that I consider people who have far worse even. And years ago when I was still teaching, not for long, it was my final few months before my back gave out on the classroom floor. That was it. Back in 1987, spring of 87, my back gave out totally. Last time I taught, last time I worked steadily. I remember that she was homeschooling a student. She would go after school. She was a teacher, chemistry teacher, very brilliant in science and other topics too, but a very bright woman. And her husband was an art teacher. And so she would go and teach this young girl who was homebound, had some kind of an arthritis, some kind of a rheumatoid arthritis, that she could not be in school. The girl couldn't. And my good friend would remind me, when my pain would get bad then, she would remind me, well, think of this girl that I'm teaching. The girl was 16 at the time, and I was 35, I think. 36 I was. Not quite 36. And so I never met the girl. She couldn't be in school. She had terrible pain with this rheumatoid arthritis. And my friend would go and tutor her in a couple of her science classes, or a couple of classes anyway. One of them at least was science. And would tell me about her. And that would help me to buck up, realize, I was an adult. I'd been able to be married, which I loved being married. And I loved having children. So I felt blessed that I had that opportunity in life. Whereas this young girl wasn't going to get that opportunity. So at some point, if I remember, I want to remind her about that girl she tutored and how she would talk about her, so that I would be reminded there's far worse. Because any of us can get caught up in ourselves and thinking, how terrible is this? It's always good to have a good friend remind us of someone they know. I mean, you may think that's not good to remind someone, well, this so-and-so's worse, has it worse. But a good friend will know when it's the right time and how to say it, to make sure we stay off ourselves and don't get into self-pity, because it doesn't help reality any. Consider Jesus in all these things I've been floating around talking about, how he suffered. And I'm sure he looked out there at humanity. Well, a couple of times he wept when he looked out over Jerusalem. He wept. He saw people so much worse off than himself. Confused people. He was God. He was the God-man. And even though he had this horrific crucifixion yet to face, and he had been mistreated left and right by people he was helping, trying to help, and did help, healed them, raised them from the dead, had his closest alliances, his 12 favorite closest friends on earth. And one of them betrayed him and the other one denied him 3 times. And he knew it. He knew they were going to. So yet he could look out and see others who were worse off and weep for them. He wept for us people, because we are worse off than God by far, but not on earth. Then we look and consider how Jesus had it worse. At least worse than me. I understand that there are people who suffer worse than Jesus did. Some of the martyrs suffered worse. But the problem, the whole problem is why there's no comparison, is because Jesus is God and perfection, never did wrong. We are human. We know we sin. We know we're not perfect. And so suffering to us would not be the horror that it would be for God. And who's all good. God who is all good. We are human who have bad and tricky in us also. And we do bad things. So we can accept the suffering as something that often we deserve. We make our choices. What do they say? You made your bed, now you have to sleep in it. You made your choices, now you have your consequences to live out. So that's on us. Jesus did none of that. Jesus did not deserve any of it. So anyway, I'm just rambling, obviously, but I just wanted to touch base. And I do have something I want to share with you today, but I won't do it in this. This is rambled on and on. I'll try to do it later and not get off on personal things. I just thought I'd share. I realized all the more I'm not meant for the world, though. Not physically, but also not mentally or emotionally. I was not prepared for the woman, the wicked woman, and I'm going to pray for her. And if I ever encounter her again, I'm just not going to speak at all, other than say, hello back or something, because she's treacherous, and I understand I'm not up for it. I didn't see what was happening or what was coming until it was too late. But I will. Also, I'm not out in the world, and I don't want to be. It's an effort that, unless I have to, I even mentioned to this friend that I don't like going to the grocery store. Everything is such effort. And she says, oh, she's so thankful her husband goes. Likes to go and handles all that, and has for several years. And so, but in my case, it's the blessing, because I have to keep going physically, or this arachnoiditis will totally take over even faster, sooner. And then I would have longer in which I'd have to hire help. Home health care of some sort. So, that's because I'll be paralyzed if I don't keep pushing it. That's what happens with arachnoiditis. The typical big three things: your intestines paralyze, it's happened, the bladder starting, and legs. My neuropathy actually has improved because I keep pushing myself, and I'm taking alpha lipoic acid, which is an herb or some supplement. My pain doctor said take it to help the legs, and I keep them up high on pillows in the night. And but the neurosurgeon, the best thing is just keep going, keep doing your renovating, keep doing your gardening, and so I must, but I've got to get this pain better under control so that I don't zone out like I've been doing. I won't be driving if that happens again. Ever. I won't risk anyone like that. So I have to get on top of this pain. And that was quite a while ago. It never happened again. But I don't want it to. But right there with all these people, it was loud in there at the pickleball tournaments going, and all these people in there, and people just all around me talking. And I left. I left my body. I died. My life hopefully was hidden with Christ in God. But, we have to be in the appropriate place. And as I said, it was not an ecstasy by any means. It was definitely a pain reaction that my mind no longer could take it and left the body to find relief. So, anyway, life in the fast lane, huh? God bless you all. This is really one of the most wonderful Easters I've had too. I did not at all have the feeling of feeling sorry for myself that Jesus got to rise and leave and I'm still here waiting for him, because I'm finding it a great joy, an inner joy, to practice love, to learn to practice love in all kinds of situations, and to curtail myself, like, not to snap back at someone or not to put them in their place, to use wise discretion, even though that woman deserved to be told what an ugly thing. But she probably maybe doesn't even recognize it, might be very practiced. Because I remember now, later I remembered that my daughter had mentioned 6 years ago how bad it was with her and how she wanted to get away from her. The woman was trying to control her, possess her, keep her for herself as her own partner, and got nasty and all. So we have to try to deal with people according to what is appropriate. And I'm finding that loving people and praying for them is about the best thing. And walk away. Let them go, but pray. Pray that they stop. Or if I were a good enough friend with her or saw her often, I would maybe try to talk with her. But I'm sure people have tried. Anyway, but love is I think I will be very, very well occupied for whatever time left with managing this arachnoiditis, trying to keep up here, keep busy with manual labor, keep pushing the body, and then not giving up on people. I was amazed how it took a couple of days, but my text expressing myself to this neighbor woman, she turned it around and decided, yes, she did want to be a neighbor and a friend. She brought a little birthday gift and a card that expressed that, and gave a really nice big hug, and has been very nice ever since. So I think it's better to get along with people in the world than to have discord. It wouldn't have been bad, or to be cold with one another, distant, when you live right next door. I was thinking about the hermit Charles du Foucauld, Saint Charles du Foucauld, who went to the Sahara and lived as a Christian among Muslims. He wasn't going to try to proselytize them. He just wanted to live as Christ-like a life, to have died and his life be hidden with Christ in God, on the edge of this Muslim village in Algiers. And so he did that. And before long, a young boy, a Muslim boy, they got sort of used to him there, realized he wasn't there, trying to push his Christianity on them. He learned their language slowly. A young boy came and assisted him in building his hut and building it. He thought other people would follow. He was another one of these that wanted to have a hermit monastery, a hermit religious order. And of course, there's no such thing. And God protected him from that. He never allowed it to happen. But Charles had these little cells made, though, just in case. But God was no. He wanted him to be a hermit. And he made him be a hermit because he didn't allow no one else followed. God put the stops on any kind of a hermit order for Charles. So I think now they do have a community of the brothers and sisters of Charles, of Jesus, they call it. But they're not hermits. They're not hermits. So, but they've honored him in that way. It came that they trusted him, and it was a congenial living experience. And it wasn't they who killed him. It was other Muslims who killed him, but not over anything religious. It was because rumor had it that Charles was running guns for the French army. And so they thought that he was part of the war situation and a traitor, causing problems. So they executed him on December 1st, or I think it was December 1st of 1916. Right there, right outside his hermitage, execution style. And they eventually, I think it was like during World War II, they finally found the man he was a boy at the time, a 16-year-old or a 13-year-old who had shot him, sort of by accident, in all of the excitement of them going into his hermitage, searching for the guns they were convinced were hidden there, that he would pass off to soldiers coming through. He had none, of course. He was there strictly to be a little Christ among the Muslims, to live Christianity, not speak it, but to be as Christ to others. So I thought of that. I thought that's a good way for all of us, especially someone like me, to focus on that. I need to have a good focus, a strong focus of love for my last days and years. If I have years, maybe a year or two, I don't know how long. But years ago, Dr. H asked me to ask God when I would die. And it seems like it was age 76 or 77, I was told. But who knows, who knows. But I do want to learn to love more and not to give up on others. And on my part, to do my best to keep love going. And amazingly enough, because one of the viewers explained to me about the differences in the faiths between myself and my neighbor. That's what reminded me of Charles, with his being Christian and the villagers being Muslim. Differences in opinions and in ways of doing things or perceiving, ways that were brought up. And so someone explained it very well, and it fit the situation exactly. I consider it an act of God that it's turned around. It may not stay that way, we'll just see, but so far so good, and I'm glad I didn't throw in the towel and get put out myself and think, well, that's how you're going to be, then I'm going to cut you off too. So my grandson is giving a run for the money, I guess you'd have to say, but my immediate reaction was be firm and say, if you don't do such and such, then we're not going to help pay for your college. And then I thought, no, you know, just don't give any extras, but let him work it out. Let him. You don't want to alienate from him, or he'll do something more extreme. So anyway, 74 and still a whole lot to learn about love and other people, and how to be with other people, and how to manage more pain. This is a new learning curve for me with this zoning out stuff. So God bless his real presence in us, and hallelujah. He is risen. He is risen indeed, and we are rising with him. And at some point, he will come back for each of us. He will come and take us with him. So we joyfully await inward joy, even if the outer is not there. And I don't believe in faking outer just for the heck of it. It's the inner joy that is important, because that's what will be with us in all eternity. And the inner joy, of course, helps us with outer joy. But sometimes there won't be an outer joy, but there can always be an inner joy. But you understand how sometimes there won't be outer joy. This is life. This is temporal world, and tangible. And there will be grief. There will be sorrows. And deep suffering, too. So, but keep the inner joy. Keep that inner joy glowing. God will do it. Find God in everything. And the more we live in Christ, we've died to the world, died to ourselves. We are living in Christ. And our life is hidden in Christ, in God. It's beautiful, isn't it? So true. Love you all.